Hey, fellow cannapreneurs. This week's show is brought to you by HMO Plus. Let professional growers build and install your in-home growing system for all your growing needs. Call Joe Grow Flounder at 719-569-6529 or visit them at www.hmoplus.com. That's HMOPLUSS.com. Now on to the show.
Open up, Colorado. It's 420. Time to grind and burn.
This is not your son's stoner show.
Welcome to the Cannabis Community Project with Brainstorm, a weekly podcast from the CCP studios high up in Denver, Colorado, exploring the business side of the newly emerging Colorado economy, focusing on the business, the patient, the retailer, to the geek in the garage, creating the next innovation in cannabis. The first media platform to help fellow cannapreneurs build sustainable businesses while living the lifestyle. Do you have a business, an idea, or just some thoughts about cannabis? Contact me. I want to hear from you. Let's discuss the issues at the front of the industry: health, legal, food, music, growing, technology. Together we can help each other grow a business to make money or just grow a garden to save money. Join us on all of our social media, Facebook at Cannabis Community Project. We're also on Kush Common for those of you in the know. Cannabis Community Project, and of course our webpage, www.cannabiscommunityproject.com, where you can listen to our show through any media platform of your preferred listening choice. We are now on Spreaker, YouTube, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iTunes. All you have to do is go to the webpage, and you can use the media player right on the page to listen to the latest show, or use your personal media platform of SoundCloud or iTunes or whatever it be, and listen to past shows up to this point. If you didn't hear last week's show or the show before that with the Grow Flounder, or even our first show of 2014, go back and take a listen, scroll through our webpage, get some information, and contact me. Hey, did you get the chance to hear last week's show? Isn't Patient Maggie a trip? She's full of energy and opinions. Hey, just in case you missed it, I had so much fun doing it, and I think it was really a meaningful message for all those who are suffering and for those who really want some insight into what Colorado patient medical marijuana is all about. Let's take a quick short-term memory relapse look back at last week's interview. Well, how's your MS doing?
Well, I'm not on any pharmaceuticals.
How long have you been off?
A year and a half.
What were you on?
Gabamine, Avonac, Copaxone, before I said enough was enough.
How are you diagnosed? You were feeling weak?
Numbness in my legs after I got done swimming. Then I went to a doctor, and they did an MRI, and that's what showed that I had MS.
Did you start smoking because of it?
No, I had just smoked recreationally.
So you started taking those major injection pharmaceutical drugs, and they were like $1,000 an injection. Are you a red card holder?
Yes.
Oh, did you do it for MS?
Yes.
So you look at yourself as a stoner?
Yes. But I definitely see the benefits. It was just last year, this neurologist wasn't so sure. He said, for having MS, he goes, you've got the mildest case I've seen. The medical part of my smoking marijuana, I don't think that hurt. The pharmaceuticals, every time I would go on, after about a year or so, I'd have more side effects than I did before. So it's like, why even bother?
You've shed all those other drugs, you just smoke now.
Yeah.
And how much are you smoking?
A couple bowls a day. So not a lot to maintain.
What are you talking about, these bong bowls here?
Yes. It's not that much. It really isn't. I don't fill it all the way up. You did.
Oh, because you smoke now without the drugs. You smoked when you were using the drugs. What were the differences?
Well, it might have put me to sleep.
So what does it do then?
I don't know if it's more of a mental state. I think it relieves a lot of stress. What are 300 other million Americans doing? Shit, I'm not alone in my quest of mediocrity. It's not out there.
Well, maybe content is happiness.
For some.
I mean, who came up with this whole spectrum? Levels?
Just saying.
It makes me laugh every time I hear it, the short version or the long version. Patient Maggie, everyone, the one and only. I'm sure we'll have her back once or twice over the months or so. You know, if you're a patient or you got a business, something you feel like there's a story behind and it needs to be told to an audience, contact me. Give me a call. You know, I want to hear from you, especially if you're in the cannabis industry. But the root of this show is really about entrepreneurship and about finding opportunity and making things happen that didn't previously exist. So, patient, business, idea man, or just a story that needs to be told through this channel here and you think this is the place to do it, give me a call, send me an email, we'll get you a voice. Let's move on now to Twin News. That's right. Twin News, This Week in News, where we take all of our social media feeds from Google and Twitter, even LinkedIn, and funnel it all into our Facebook feed, copy it, regurgitate it, make it seem somewhat original from our own page. What do you need? All you have to do is just tune into our Facebook or tune into our show, and you're going to get everything this week in news in cannabis industry. Here we go. First up, posted by Entrepreneur Magazine, why Colorado and Washington were wise to legalize pot. From an economic and health standpoint, policymakers got it right when it came to sales of recreational cannabis. Read more about that at Entrepreneur Mag. We also have posted by the Denver Post, in a warehouse district of northeast Denver, right next to the post office, the Williams family is building the Costco of weed. Very interesting article. You can read about that at the Denver Post, about possibly one of the largest facilities and could be the model for how big cannabis is going to operate. We'll see. I have no opinion on that one yet, but you can read more about it at the Denver Post. We also have Cannabis Law Reform posting, great respect to David Collins for the responsible and effective way he has tried to set up his cannabis cafe. Posted by New Way Cafe Community. Moms for Marijuana International shared a link. Compound found in marijuana shown to turn off cancer. Originally posted by digitaljournal.com, researchers at California Pacific Medical Center in San Francisco found that a marijuana compound known as cannabidiol can stop in many types of aggressive cancers. I'm not sure I said that right, the cannabidiol or the metastases, but you can read about that originally at digitaljournal.com or Moms for Marijuana International Facebook. Moving on, Bill Gates voted for marijuana legalization, says show me cannabis. Apparently voted for legalized marijuana in his home state of Washington. Well, it makes sense. I don't think he has any vested interest in any companies that are profiting, like DEA or other policing facilities or possibly international military facilities. So he's probably all for legalization because he's a smart, logical individual. Washington versus Colorado Super Bowl, the first ever Weed Bowl. Moms for Marijuana trying to kick it off, 420. And, of course, being here in Colorado, home state, we got the Broncos. We're going to be doing something very big. We're going to try to get set up as close as possible and broadcast even live. We'll have to see as we get closer. But this is going to be a very, very big Super Bowl for Colorado and for us on the show, Cannabis Community Project. Can you imagine if we could get a quick interview or some statements from some players or coaches or somebody else? Let's see if we can get ourselves a press pass. Maybe we'll get we'll have to rename the show to CCP permanently instead of it's a KCCP. Get some kind of press credentials. Moving on, Cannabis Now magazine, get a free Just Legalize It 2014 t-shirt. All you have to do is like and you'll get a chance to win from Cannabis Now magazine posting on their Facebook. You can check out more of the details there. They show a 55% support legalizing marijuana. Supposedly a poll or a survey taken by MPP.org. I'm always very skeptical of these polls. What does that even mean? What is the methodology? What are the questions they're actually asking? Are they just approaching strangers and saying, hey, do you support legalization? Do you support marijuana? Do you support it for specific causes? What is the question? We don't know the question. So statistics in this very vague form of just a number being thrown out, 55%. Oh, okay. What does that mean? Oh, okay. Support legalizing marijuana. Great. I would argue that 90% would support legalizing it if asked the right questions. Because there's only a small percentage of people who are out there really feeling the propaganda and out there feeding the myths of what it is and creating this divide between other drugs that are so commonly used and legalized and profited from and regulated by the government and marijuana. The backstory and the history is covered up. The origins of racism and pure economics of just money, of how these drug laws began, is covered up and overlooked and never taught. So what does it mean? What does it mean 55% support legalizing marijuana? What does it mean $10 million was sold in the first week and a half or 2 weeks? What does that mean? It means absolutely nothing. Because they're just numbers. They're just numbers, but nobody's life is being affected that wasn't already being affected. There's nobody out there spontaneously becoming a spontaneous marijuana smoker and going crazy and running through the streets and causing havoc and chaos. There's no businesses that are spontaneously creating violence and crime like as created on the black market. There's not an epidemic of anything. All that's happening is those who did it before are continuing to do it now, but maybe just being more open about it. And there are statistics. Before, we had no reporting, or we had people who refused to comply with the surveys, and now we're just going to have people who are coming out of the closet, if you will. And that's going to be an overwhelming statistic. People are going to point to it and say, look at this. Pot smokers have risen by 1,000% in Colorado since legalization. Really? Compared to what? Where was the survey being taken before, and based on what questions? Because I guarantee you, those people you're asking the question to now are the same people that were using before. Statistics. As I've said before, I'm not a math person. I'm just an individual who has a little bit of curiosity about the way news works, the world works, and how we're delivered information in media and how we make decisions. So I would like to I'd like to use this show just to combat those out of spite. You got statistics? Here. I'm a media channel. You're listening to me right now. So I'm going to throw statistics out there. 100% of the world supports legalization marijuana. There you go. Go find me something that counters that. And then we'll argue about it, and then we'll just agree to disagree, and we'll call ourselves a media channel. Why not? Why not? That's all you need to know about the news this week. And that was the news. Everything you need to know this week, all cannabis related. Here's a new segment for you. Confessions. That's right, just as it sounds, confessions. Confessions about cannabis. Do you need to come out to your mom, your children, a best friend, perhaps a spouse? Do you need to tell somebody, hey, remember that time at your wedding when I gave the toast? I was high. Do you need to tell your grandma, Grammy, I'm a stoner and I've been smoking pot for 20 years. Or maybe you just need to tell a good friend, hey, coworker, yeah, you know me. You know, every day at work when you're telling me all those boring stories, I'm high. Confessions. Give me a call at 970-316-2503. That's going to go to our media company's production line. Leave a message there about your confession. You don't have to leave your name. You don't have to leave any other information. We're just going to take that audio and we'll play it right on the air. Let's take a listen to one.
Yeah, I'd like to make a confession. My name is Walter, and I have to confess that I went to Carlsbad Caverns, and we went down in the cavern. I got separated from our group a little bit. A friend and I were just standing there watching the cave, and we decided to light one up there in the middle of Carlsbad Cave, and I kind of feel bad about that, but I'm glad I did it. So thanks for letting me confess.
Doom decka doom decka doom doom doom.
Starting to give me the creeps in here. Hey, Charlene? What? You're good. Well, you're not.
On today's show, we have MJ Freeway Software Solutions. I had the chance to sit down with Amy and Jessica from MJ Freeway Software Solutions, the medical marijuana industry's premium business platform. We got into some, not technical, but definitely some business talk, learning about the fundamentals of starting a business and specifically in the cannabis industry. Some basic questions. What are you going to do when somebody hands you money to buy your product? Well, that's what these two specialize in. They have a long, extensive career based in corporate point-of-sale software and IT, web design. They had all the background and training needed. And then when the industry opened its doors, they stepped in with their experience and are showing really the rest of us, of entrepreneurs, what it's like to be a legitimate business. Because there's a lot of illusion about what dispensaries are running, and they're just stoners running around, working in cash, selling weed out of back doors. No, not really. That's not what's going on here in Colorado. I can't speak for other states where legalization or decriminalization is happening, but here in Colorado, it's a legitimate business. And like every legitimate business, there is an administrative team, and there's HR procedures and protocol, and there's got to be IT in place, and websites have to be designed, and cash has to be handled and recorded and tracked, as well as the product. It's a business. It's creating jobs. And Amy and Jessica are possibly at the forefront of what's going on in the industry, bringing together corporate America and cannabis America. This is something we could all learn from, because if we're thinking about being in the cannabis industry, we need to think about business, not just the creative and the fun part, but we need to think about the fundamentals. And that's what today's interview is about. It's about learning a little bit about fundamentals of business. Let's get into it. This is my podcast. It's called the Community Cannabis Project, based on the cannabis lifestyle, specifically focusing on businesses and individuals focused on in the industry, such as patients and dispensaries. And so what I'm doing is I'm going out and I'm really just trying to find all the businesses that are associated with the cannabis industry here in Colorado and talk to them and figure out what they're doing, how they got in business, what was the inspiration, what were some of the struggles and challenges that came through, trying to help other individuals who want to be entrepreneurs in this industry get an idea what they can do also to come into the industry. I don't want to necessarily take it as just a question response type stuff. Mm-hmm. I just want to kind of figure out where you guys came from. You said you just been here a few years here in Denver?
No, I've lived in Colorado for a long time. Jessica and I actually met when we both lived in Telluride, and I had a web development business and she had an IT business in Telluride. So we had a lot of clients in common.
Yeah, I saw your backgrounds. You guys both have a lot of technology in corporate world, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yours was in building websites and hers was more IT infrastructure type stuff?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So how long were you in computers and websites?
Most of my career has been tech-focused one way or another.
And you went to DU?
I did. I actually got a business degree.
Oh, okay. So that's definitely coming into use right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what exactly brought you to this part of the industry, to where you are today?
Sure. Well, in 2009, late 2009, Jess and I were talking about how we could get involved in this industry. We saw a lot of potential, and we also saw a lot of potential for us to be able to help small business owners with the tech skills that we had. And she's really the one that had the idea that led us to start the company.
Jessica, you're out in Georgia.
I
am now. So I lived in Telluride for many years, where I had the IT company, and Amy had her web development company. And I still had a number of IT corporate clients that I supported remotely at the time that we started MJ Freeway that were in Colorado. So I was visiting Amy, and we were talking, and I had actually just invested in one of the first dispensaries in Boulder, Colorado. As the IT person, or the IT owner of that business, I was tasked with finding and implementing whatever computer system we were going to use, and there just wasn't anything to use. And, so Amy and I were talking about how to get involved, and, she wanted to do something with web transactions, and, and I was like, gosh, what these guys really need right now is a point of sale. Something to actually track their inventory and be able to sell their product. And Amy famously said, well, point of sale. How hard can that be? Let's do that.
Something you already knew. Now, are we talking about 2000 when the medical first came through Colorado?
These conversations were happening late 2009, and we started the company January 1st, 2010.
Okay, so the medical marijuana had well been in Colorado, but it was around that 2008, 2009 when the spike took off.
Exactly.
Which a lot of people contribute to the new president, statements he had made. Whatever it was around 2008, 2009 when the spike took off here in Colorado. Dispensaries started opening. Mm-hmm. And it basically became a semi-market type system going on. So around that time, you saw the opportunity that here's a growing business. What were they doing at the time? Were they just kind of closet type shops that were just selling across the board with handwritten receipts, or what exactly was it like back then?
There was a lot of that. I mean, there were no regulations at that point in Colorado. The regulations didn't go into effect until 2011. So a lot of people were just maybe tracking their patients in an Excel database. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of just use a cash register, some handwritten receipts. Some people were trying to use software designed for other industries, the restaurant industry or the salon or spa business. But of course, that doesn't deal with a weighed product very well, or a product that dehydrates or any of that kind of thing. So we focused on building our system from the ground up specifically for cannabis. And then when the regulations were released in Colorado and went into effect in July 2011, we really took a very strong compliance focus. And that continues to be our primary focus today. We guarantee to meet any state or federal, should there ever be one, tracking requirement for marijuana. And we put in custom labels or reports or anything that's required by any marijuana state in order to let our clients be confident that they've got the tools to be compliant.
We're talking about the seed to sale concept of tracking everything literally from the beginning to the end user.
Exactly.
Now, when did exactly was that developed?
We had patents pending on our seed to sale algorithms and methodology, and that was absolutely part of our original development roadmap and part of our original plan for how we were going to develop the software and what it was going to look like in its final version. So we did develop the point of sale piece of it, which is Graham Tracker first, and made that available so that in the immediate time period, stores could actually track their inventory and actually make sales of their product and keep a handle on that. But then the next product that we released was our Grow Tracker product. In its first iteration, included the compliance pieces that were needed for all seed sale tracking.
Now, if you can help me understand this, because I've only heard about it in concept, how exactly is a seed tracked from seed to sale? Because to me, that just sounds overwhelming. It would be like asking somebody to track a kernel of corn.
Well, we create a unique record for each plant at the point that plant is created, whether from clone or seed. And then anything that happens to that plant during the course of its life, we capture. So any nutrient that's added, any labor that is done to the plant for pruning or whatever else, any kind of other treatments, whether it be pesticide or anything like that need to be applied or that are applied to the plant. We then capture everything that happens at harvest, so we know how much comes off of that plant. We've known everything about the light cycle and the labor and nutrients that went into it. We know how much is harvested. We can use that information to help our clients with yield forecasting and that type of thing. And when the plant is harvested, we create a batch of the harvested product that contains the records of all of the plants that went into that batch. And that batch number goes all the way forward in the system, whatever format the inventory then takes, whether it's put into some pre-rolls, whether it's used in an infusion, whether it's sold as flour, We have a batch number for that, and we capture all the changes in the product as it moves forward. And when it goes out the door to the patient or the customer, in the case of adult use sales, we know what batch number was sold on any given transaction. So with that batch number, you can go from the point that it was sold and walked out the door all the way back to the plant and when that was put in the ground or put in the cloner.
And these are types of point of sale systems that you had been working with before in other types of industries?
I had done transaction systems for other industries, but not a point of sale system. So this was new. And we did research the point of sale systems that were out there, as Jessica mentioned, but there was really nothing that was appropriate for cannabis. So we designed this one specifically around cannabis from the ground up.
Not appropriate because other commodities don't quite fit the same model as far as how they store and grow and sell, or just because nobody else had an actual point of sale system specifically for cannabis?
Not an agricultural tracking system that tracks to the same degree of detail that MJ Freeway does in terms of every piece of inventory. For one thing, it's not, the other regulated products just are not tracked to that level of detail.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have to think about the fact that what the wholesale price of a pound of marijuana is, and the fact that it's so easy to take a little bud and put it in your pocket, and there goes $50 walking out the door, potentially.
Right, as far as the value compared to, if you're talking about wheat or corn or something else that comes in large tonnage of weight, they're probably not tracking minor seeds and small amounts of weight coming through. So this is new. Did you have experience before in the process of growing and managing cannabis?
It was new. It was new for me. I obviously have used cannabis. I don't. Have used it medically on occasion, but I don't enjoy cannabis recreationally. Red wine is more my thing. So it was a new industry for me. I had not grown before.
It was also completely new industry for me, and one of the ways that we went about making sure that we were not just blindly putting things into place what we thought our clients would want is when we first formed the company and first started outlining what we thought we would develop into our software, we talked to some of the early players in the industry and people who had stores already and were already growing, and asked people if they were interested in being part of our customer advisory board. And we did have 3 people. We had a maximum of 3 that we wanted, and we got 3 people that wanted to consult that software. And I think it was a win-win for everybody. They got a lifetime license for MJ Freeway. To this day, they do beta testing for us. And then they got to, really tell us, hey, this is what we need. This is how we're working day to day. This is our workflow. And we were able to then take the input from more than one person, more than one business, and say, okay, well, what do we need to develop that's going to work for every scenario for all of these people?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the outcome's been really good.
So to develop this type of software, do you have to understand growing?
I think it's absolutely necessary.
Okay.
And again, when we developed further into the Grow product, Grow Tracker, we had a similar kind of advisory board because, there's, even if we talk to only one grower, you get one methodology,
mm-hmm.
and you want the software to be able to adapt to whatever growing methodology is used by growers across the country with, indoor, outdoor, large scale,
right,
just in their house doing a caregiver thing with a few plants. So in order to be adaptable, we really needed to understand the full breadth of what people are doing.
Right. And that's really something I'm learning also is just, everybody I talk to, every grower, everybody has slightly different, methods and ideas about lighting and food and the whole deal. So it's very interesting. I'm not a grower. I've never understood growing. I kill my houseplants. That's a part of it that I don't really understand, but it's very interesting because when I see grow houses and when I walk into them, it's almost overwhelming in how you take it all in and the feeling it gives you. So it's definitely something I want to learn more about. My brother was a grower in Northern California, and he had a 2-bedroom house with 2 bedrooms full of plants and he slept in the kitchen. And then I come out here to Colorado where people just have warehouses set up.
Right.
And then they still have their closets full and at home. So it's very interesting to watch how people adapt to small spaces and large spaces. I'll be interested to see how the recreational centers are allowed to break away from the models that the medical centers are kind of tied to. We'll see. We'll have to see what the demand actually kind of balances out to after a few weeks or a few months. I don't know. I don't know how people will still keep lining up to pay $50 ACE. I don't know if and then 25% on top of that.
You know, I think market conditions will prevail. They did with the medical model from 2010 to now. We've seen big increases and decreases in the number of stores, the number of registered patients, the tax dollars that are being collected, all that kind of thing. I think the same thing will happen in the adult use market.
I think this is a big year. I think 2014 is a big year. We're going to see not just the growers and dispensaries expand, but I think everybody in the market, from the hemp growers to all the little people that want to make stuff, the manufacturers and fabricators that want to take that raw product and turn it into something. That's where I think the industry is going to explode. Not necessarily centers, because there's just so much overhead and regulation, and it's a difficult market to work through. But the free market is probably going to be the guys making paraphernalia and making food and making clothes and trying to grow hemp. That's where I think the real explosion is going to be, personally.
I think you're right. And there's a tremendous amount of potential in hemp. I mean, I think that's one of the most exciting things about Amendment 64 is that, you know, that market now is potentially open, and that'll be great for a number of business sectors and for the country.
I mean, you guys have been at this for a while. What have you seen as far as an increase in the market? Has it just been neutral?
Yeah, going on 4 years. First, I thought for your project this summer, you know, the UFCW, the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, actually has a cannabis division and is in full support of legalizing cannabis nationally, and they might be a great resource for some of those different businesses exist.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll definitely have to contact them and get involved. So that's definitely a good tip.
Pretty cool. And as far as expansion, you know, it's especially the business side, it's just expanding so rapidly. I think back to the different events that we attend, some of the NCIA conferences or the MMJ Business Daily Conference that they hold every year nationally. I think just this past year, they had planned on double capacity over 2012. So the 2013 conference, they planned for double the amount of people that they had planned for 2012, and they sold out long ahead of time. Had so many people that would have liked to have come or paid more money to come, and they had to turn people away. So they're, you know, trying to look at, well, how do we plan? What factor of exponential growth do we plan on for 2014?
Yeah.
And I just think that's a real sign of the times and a sign of the industry is, you know, more states open and more countries open. And
so you guys are dealing in multiple states, is that correct? You're not just here in Colorado, you're dealing with people in California and actually around the world from what I saw from the website, right?
Yeah, we're in 12 states, District of Columbia, Canada, and Europe.
So how does that work as far as, is there anything you have to do differently with your product, because you're not actually selling cannabis or doing anything with the plant itself? Is there anything you have to do from a regulation standpoint, state by state, differently to interact in this industry?
Absolutely. You know, small things as simple as a different receipt format required by state or a different label required for every state to, you know, our software is available in the French and Spanish as well.
Oh, yeah. Every time I get to learn something, I always feel inspired and energized. And speaking with Amy and Jessica is just one of those situations where you really get to learn about business almost from an academic standpoint. I mean, there are years of experience combined, getting it firsthand of what it takes to really operate in Colorado as a business, regardless of what you're doing. They happen to be doing point-of-sale systems, so they're really on the front of it, seeing a lot of the businesses that are up and coming, the businesses that are sustaining what they're doing, and those who are having good transactions and turnover with profits. Well, sorry it cut out on the end there. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're going to have much, much more. We'll try to get them back on the show in a few months. But we'll have many other people that we'll speak to that we'll learn little by little, almost as if this were an educational school. But all you have to do is really listen in, and you can get education, hopefully a little bit of entertainment. If you want to get a hold of MJ Freeway for your software solutions, or to ask them or to connect with them personally, join one of their networks. They're on Twitter at MJ Freeway. They're on Facebook, also at MJ on Facebook at MJ Freeway, and their website at www.mjfreeway.com. And if you feel like old school, give them a call, 888-932-6537. I'm sure they're more than happy to talk to you. They will be more than happy to talk to you. They're already all over the place. They're growing, and I'm going to keep looking to them for the next innovation in business solutions. Keep listening to our show. We got a bunch of new shows lined up for the new year that are going to be just excellent. We're going to be talking to dispensaries and growers, security companies, lawyers, physicians, all sorts of people, those getting involved in hemp. All you got to do is just listen in every Saturday directly from my webpage at cannabiscommunityproject.com. You can find us on Facebook also, Cannabis Community Project, and we will be broadcasting every Saturday at 4:20 right here, same place, same time. See you next week. Come on!